Roleplay Retcon does not own any part of the movies we retcon, nor are we associated with the artists who make them. Also, while most episodes are safe for all listeners, please do check the individual episode descriptions for any content warnings. Hey.
Everyone say hi at the same time.
Hi.
That was not in sync at all.
Welcome to Roleplay Retcon's Roleplay Rehash. If you're new to the show, Rehash is the final episode in a series where we like to go over what we've retconned and decide if we actually improved upon the original work or just took it in a different direction. How'd everybody feel about our remake?
Comparing it to the original, I really couldn't say because I remember 0 elements from the original and barely any cast. So ours is just inherently superior from my point of view.
Check mark.
I do think that this cast of characters, Marty McFly, Laszlo Cravensworth, I know Dom, but I can't think of Jency's character's name. I can only think of the actress.
Holtzman.
Jillian
Holtzman. That is... Well,
it's okay. It's a tough name.
Yeah, it is.
That's all right.
I also haven't seen that film.
Completely forgettable character.
Shut up.
But yeah, Holtzman, Laszlo, Dom, and Marty, that was just such a strange bunching. But then still in line, I feel, with the kind of weird menagerie that is the original cast, or at least is the original cast's professions. There's a vampire, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
there's
okay.
It's Mina from Dracula.
Yeah, that wasn't too far off.
I don't remember if she was full vampire or just quasi-vampire, but she's got a lot of the powers of vampirism.
I don't know that I have any hot takes necessarily. I have some room temperature takes. How's that? They're not cold at the very least. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think there's a certain level of nostalgia to selecting pop culture characters from movies from a certain time period that is relevant to us. Whereas to a degree, the original characters in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen should ostensibly be those same really key touchstone cultural references for classic lit. It's just taking that and applying it somewhere else, and I find that to be really fun. It's interesting as well, the parallels between that, because to a degree everybody knows who Huck Finn is, but somehow not everybody knows who Kaiser Soze is, and I include myself in that grouping of people, where it's interesting to see what touchstones there are and are not. So I had a great time. It was definitely challenging for me to play the straight man. I never that is not my thing at all. And so it's I'm Marty McFly. My job is to be the sane one who reacts to things.
The most normal boy in the world.
What's going on here? So that was a unique challenge that I enjoyed as well.
What's funny about that is Marty in Marty's story isn't normal, but then paired up with this crazy cast.
We did get a nice spread of characters that I was hoping for. Originally, I was going to go into this later, but I had all of my examples of characters. I had them all broken down into different categories like soldier, adventurer, scientist, and I was going to try to make people pick from those particular categories so we wouldn't have a lot of overlap, but y'all did such a great job picking, I didn't even need to do it.
Go us.
Go
Nice.
us.
Yeah, we're so good at this. Good job, team.
I've read the second graphic novel this is based on, but not the first one, and I didn't like it. I'm trying to say I hate things less. I don't hate it. It didn't kill my family, but I don't like it. And this graphic novel has 2 moves, and the first move is the one the movie does, where it has this cameo of something you recognize, and you get a little dopamine shot from that. And I really don't begrudge that. I can't. We do it all the time. Roleplay Retcon. I basically did the same move when we did Pixels. So I can't be mad about that. I think it's a good move. I think it works. It's maybe a little cheap, but it works. The other move the comic does is shock you for the sake of shocking you. And it has so much of this like commonly triggering stuff, but the story isn't about addressing that in any kind of like meaningful way. So it's just trying to be an edgy boy. And to the movie's credit, it didn't do that. But it kind of ended up going in the opposite direction and doing the other sin of like not being impactful or memorable in any kind of meaningful way. And like the scene that in the movie that really gets in my head, that really stuck with me, was the part where they reveal this like, oh, by the way, spoilers for The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen coming up in 3, 2, 1. It was this double twist of like M, the James Bond guy, is actually Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. And they were so proud of themselves. And they thought that was like a really cool twist, you could tell. But the thing is, it's not. It's stupid. It's a
Not
stupid
only
twist.
that, he was somebody before it was revealed that he was M, too.
Oh, yeah?
Who was the guy? I think it was like Rasputin or somebody.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was a triple twist.
The first villain, he was that, and then it reveals that he was M. And then it reveals that M stood for Moriarty. So it was like a triple
they had
layer.
Rasputin be Moriarty?
I guarantee
That's
you it
wild. No, that's wild. That's like us having Sacha Baron Cohen in 4 different characters.
Okay, exactly. Because Alex this is what Alex did so right. Is he looked at that and he went, all right, but that works if it's funny.
And that was funny.
And like, if you treat it like it's funny and not like it's a serious thing that you're supposed to think is the coolest thing ever. And he was correct. So in that sense, like you making that excellent decision has helped us all be successful, which is why I think it worked.
Well, we do what we can.
Yeah. Kind of going off of something Ben said, if I may. Get a little film nerdy for a second. I've been thinking recently about intertextuality, and that's a normal sentence to say.
Yes.
Yes, continue.
In a lot of like modern stories, a lot of modern like properties, there is this strange intertextuality where things are references to other properties. They are references to other like IPs or characters. But it isn't meaningful in any way, shape, or form to the people that inhabit that world or that story. It's only meaningful to an audience. To me, I'm really sick of that kind of intertextuality. I think that's boring and it's pandering. This, and even like I guess the original movie, and by extension then the graphic novel, by acknowledging that these stories exist both like within and outside each other, like that is we'll call it healthier intertextuality that actually adds upon one another instead of just winking at the audience and winking at the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I really liked that Alex did that from the very beginning when he had the people who brought our characters into the world. When he chose those from like for example, mine was Agent Scully, which was amazing, but that's like a different universe, but still my character knew her and she was part of this other thing. So even like in the realm of the universe, the different kind of universes are kind of connected too. So I love that Alex did that. Good job.
And again, that was a complete and utter accident. It just randomly did that.
It was perfect.
Oh, and it wasn't Rasputin. It was actually the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, God.
It was the Phantom of the Opera
I just
who was
blocked it.
M, who was Moriarty.
That's worse somehow.
It is a little worse.
Maybe because like you like the Phantom of the Opera is cool, but you don't really care if they besmirch Rasputin's name. It's like, yeah.
But we were touched on this a little bit, but what did y'all think of your characters overall? Especially what made you choose them specifically?
I may have said this at one point, but like I was almost Mulder. Like from the X-Files, because I thought it would be fun to have like a detective character in the mix. But Dom was actually Alex's idea, and I think it may have even been like kind of the seed of the idea.
It was definitely one of them.
That we were watching all those Fast and Furious movies, and you were like, what if we did this? And so I was like, I have to be Dom. It was just too good of an idea. But I felt this like weird irrational fear about making the character my own. Which
Same.
like as if there was a studio string pulling that was not letting me change or evolve the character of Dom. So I felt like I ended up not doing enough in the way of like being the character. I did have some fun with it though. But like, yeah, I ended up being a parody of the character, which like I think ended up being funny. But like, I don't know, maybe on a second pass, I would have actually tried to like give Dom an arc, like make a character and like not worry about it being Dom-like the whole time.
I would have written off any like inconsistencies with your characters with time travel shenanigans.
Yeah.
And just like check that right off. What about you, Laurel?
Me, it wasn't totally opposite. That's fine.
That's
I mean,
right.
I agree with Ben 100%. I also had this like it was odd for me to play a character that didn't belong to me. Like I think I felt a little less complete freedom to just like make choices because it's like I have to be true to Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Because I think like across the board, like Marty is a beloved character and there's a reason for that. And like I think I saw a meme one time that described him as he's so boyfriend and like yeah. And that is all I aspire to be is so boyfriend. So I think that I definitely it took me a minute to settle in. I think I could have settled in better, but I mean, I love Marty to absolute bits, and I'm glad to have had a chance to play him. I do think that it's funny that when I initially generated like my list of characters of like, what are some ideas? Marty was on my list, and Marty was also on Alex's list, and I think that was just kind of like fate that independent of each other, we had both come up with that. So,
And you did a great job with him.
oh, thanks.
If I might
So
say.
boyfriend. So boyfriend.
I'll take
So
it.
boyfriend.
So boyfriend.
All right, Jency. Jillian Holtzman.
Hi.
Let's hear about it.
Yes. All right. So, yeah, originally I wasn't super sure who I was going to choose. And I wanted to kind of sit back and let our guests choose first. And then while they were choosing and I was really thinking about it and looking at the lists, Holtzman just seemed like just the best idea. And at first I was honestly really nervous about pitching it. I think I told this story before because I know that Alex famously hates that movie. And in my heart, I thought I was going to have to convince him to let me do it. But he was just like, yeah, of course you're going to be Holtzman. Of course you would. Like, he knew it, like, intuitively in his bones.
I had it written down.
And it made me so happy. And he didn't need any convincing. He was just like, yeah, of course you're Holtzman. Go for it. And I think the character choice was a really good idea. I think it added some flavor to the group. But as the others said, it was hard to play a character that wasn't a character that I had freedom over. Because I did feel constricted, and that maybe made me feel not as confident with the character. Because I wanted to be true to her instead of like doing my own thing. And so, yeah, as the others said, that was tough for me to do. And I feel like if I could do it again, I would have done it differently, I think.
To be clear, like Alex never was like, "Hey, you have to play the character the way they are."
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah. This was us being prisoners of our own minds.
This is just like, I think this is just a thing that happened in our own psyche where we're like, this is a character that we love and we want to do them justice and we want to be true to them, and that made us feel limited, just like within ourselves. But I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
I was
because
just
that's
about
exactly
to
how
say
I was
that.
feeling. Like, I'm so glad you said it too, because I was like, oh, thank God. So weird. That's a weird thing that we have collectively found.
And now for what I think was the breakout character of the series.
Yeah, easy.
Laszlo Cravensworth.
Definitely did the best job inhabiting his character. Yeah.
Ryan, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I probably mentioned this back when we were picking characters, is that it was honestly really difficult for me to have the constraint of being someone more contemporary and someone more grounded. I think by the time I was getting around to choosing a character, everyone else, Ben, he had picked Dom already, Laurel had Marty, and I think by that time, Jency, they had settled into Holtzman as well. But my mind was still in like outer space and fantasy land. And frankly, Laszlo is the closest thing to that side of my
Yeah.
interests, while
Yeah.
still, touching in with what your requirements were. And Laszlo was also on your list.
And let me tell you, folks, Ryan had some big picks, some crazy picks for his ideas. What was
I
that one?
I had also put down Mulder as one of them.
Yeah, Mulder was one of
and
them.
then my other three that I had proposed were Dr. Rick Douglas, MD from Dark Place, and then it was Sawyer from Lost, and Alan Wake from Alan Wake. But no, Laszlo was a lot of fun. I think, honestly, everything everyone has said has resonated with me as well. There, of course, was a worry of just, is this the character, or is this just my best impression of the character? And there
can't
was
it
a
be both?
difference,
Well, it was an incredible impression of the character. Like,
It was.
I think I'm glad you weren't Alan Wake, because I feel like you and
Ben
I
would've been
would have been
jealous.
competing for being like,
Brooding.
yeah, the overly serious to the point of it being funny character.
Yeah, just with a little more head narration.
I do love Alan Wake though.
But no, Laszlo was a lot of fun to inhabit.
Yeah.
And just being able to yell and be crude and insane.
He was a lot of fun to try to play around. When I was thinking giving you an immortal character.
And then immediately being like, oh, maybe this was bad. Take this amulet. I'm like,
Yeah, take this
I don't know
amulet.
about
That'll
that,
make you
Alex.
not immortal. Yeah, I'm never going to wear it. It's fine.
well, we always traveled at night. Sue me.
It's true. You did
Yeah,
a
we got
very
around
good job
that.
of just timing those, or maybe I just let you roll over me. Which
I
is
I was thinking, like, how bad was the Cohen coercion's like intel that they showed up at night to fight a vampire? Like,
they got there as fast as they could. They were already in the St. Louis area, so they had to pick up their
pick up the
Yeah,
bear.
it was the bear.
Now, usually at this point, we would cast our characters with a different actor. With these particular characters being so tied to a lot of their actors, I didn't know if y'all want to do that. But I'm going to give you the option, if you want to recast your character, to do so now.
I actually do have an answer for this.
Oh, yeah?
You would
Well,
recast Vin Diesel?
Let's hear it.
It is, yes. It's pretty hard to recast Dom because that character is so owned by Vin Diesel to the point that I felt his specter over me as I was playing it, saying, "Don't do anything I wouldn't do."
Just hovering over with a baseball bat. Keep it in the family.
But I do have something that might work. So there's this guy named Joe Watts, and Joe Watts was Vin Diesel's stunt double on a lot of these movies. And he had to retire after he was injured very, very badly on the set of the ninth Fast and the Furious movie, F9. He had a real bad head injury. May have even gone to a coma for a bit, and he just can't do stunt work anymore.
Dang.
And like apparently that also tore up Vin Diesel pretty bad. He was very upset about that. So I think Vin might throw Joe a bone here. Let Joe just be the actor and make Vin be the stuntman for once. See how that goes.
Just to clarify, he's not still in a coma.
Oh no, he's not. Yeah, he had to
Okay.
retire. He had to retire.
Gotcha.
He can't do stunt work anymore.
So you're
I
going to
was
make
just like,
Vin
man, I don't know
Diesel.
if that's going to...
You're going to make Vin Diesel climb on top of a car and get swiped at by a bear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I like it.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a thought?
If they were doing like a Back to the Future remake, who would they cast as Marty McFly?
See, I don't like
2026
that question because I
Disney Back to the Future remake.
don't do this to me, Ryan.
Highly saturated. The trailer gives everything away. Who's Marty McFly?
A few years back, they were talking about doing a Back to the Future sequel / remake, and they had someone cast that I thought would have done a really good job.
Who?
I cannot for the life of me remember who it was, though.
Cool.
Tom
Great
Holland.
story.
Is it Tom Holland?
Glad I could help. One of my thoughts would have been Tom Holland, but he might be a little oversaturated these days.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I think in this time and place, in this economy. I mean, this is harsh of me, but I don't really have any positive opinions.
Whoa.
Any contemporary
I thought you were going to say Tom
actors,
Holland
so-
specifically. You were like, I just can't say anything nice about
Oh
Tom
no,
Holland.
I don't
Tom
have
Holland.
any issues with Tom Holland specifically.
Like, no one's
are not my
forcing you to
words.
recast. I'm just giving you a platform in which to do.
No, I mean, if I had an idea or like something concrete, I would share it. But I just Michael J. Fox really made that role his own. So
Jency, should I even
Yeah, I'm
bother
just trying to
asking
think
you?
of like. Listen, I'm not doing it, Alex. Next.
Next.
No, Kate McKinnon. She is the character. Who I couldn't. It's impossible. Like Ryan couldn't even think of the character's name. All he could think of was Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how the character she is.
And I wouldn't recast Matt Berry. I don't know who would.
No. I don't.
So
So tied to that character.
So Ben's the only weirdo that will recast. All right.
No, Ben
But
had
out
a
of like
good
an
answer,
altruistic
though.
purpose.
I know. I'm just
yeah, not all of us have
busting
double
chops,
Jeez.
guys.
Do you have any, Alex? Do you have any like castings for NPCs that
Absolutely
aren't
not.
tied to
I
a
don't.
to like? Well, like, is this a joke or do you really not?
I don't. I'm gonna be with you. I haven't even thought about it.
Let's do it live. Like, there's a couple of people here that aren't like tied to an actor.
Like who?
Like Lara
who?
Croft and like
Laura Croft
like
has
Carmen
two
Sandiego.
actresses.
Well, but like it could be someone else. Like, is anyone like? I don't think anyone's gonna blink an eye if it's not, Angelina Jolie.
Sure.
I'm blinking.
Yeah, look at her. She's blinking. I see it.
I'm blinking. I'm kidding.
Well, then like Carmen Sandiego. Who's that? Like Carmen Sandiego is like.
Well, we
there's-
found out it's Laura Croft.
It's Laura Croft.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
That's
about
true.
that.
I like to headcanon that actually she
Yeah.
was a cartoon.
The whole time.
And that in another world I played
That's right.
Roger Rabbit in this campaign.
Or David Bowie from Labyrinth.
Poor David Bowie.
Or just
Or
David
every
Bowie.
iteration. Or alternatively, the Tim Curry universe.
Yeah, we
I will
had all the
say-
Sacha Baron Cohens. Why didn't we have all the David Bowies?
Right?
Yeah, why can't I be every Tim Curry character?
I will say, Laurel's thoughts about playing Labyrinth characters is what finally got me to watch Labyrinth for the first time.
If I
And-
have provided no other service to this world, I have forced Alex to watch Labyrinth.
It was okay.
I was there to temper his expectations,
You're okay.
which helped him enjoy it, I think.
Thank you, Jency. I appreciate that.
It was okay.
Hey,
It's not
Alex
for
also
everybody.
hadn't interacted with like 3 of my 5 properties that I put forward. So
I did watch the Weird Doctor show.
Dark Place.
I watched 2 episodes of it, and then I gave up.
It is an anomaly. It is one of those purposefully bad shows, but not like in a campy way, and in a way that you're like, oh, they actually know what they're doing.
It
yeah.
definitely appeals to screenwriters, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I would have watched more if my wife didn't tell me I was not allowed to.
Wow, that's pretty
Your
rare.
wife
She usually lets
banned you
watch
from it. What
whatever.
did she have against it?
She just didn't want to watch it. I could have watched it on my own, but I chose not to. But I'm going to go over a list of all the villains that I had thought about putting into this whole shebang before I decided I was going to shorten it down
Shebang.
To all
course-
of Sacha Baron Cohen.
to all Sacha Baron Cohen, yeah. So we all know about Kaiser Soze, and
Yes.
it's funny, yeah, Kaiser Soze, I had this whole plan, and Ben and Jency know this. I typically have a traitor player in all of my my campaigns, and I was gonna try to make one of you be Kaiser Soze. But
Oh.
I figured I wasn't gonna do it because they might have seen that coming.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know,
wasn't
man.
me this time, and I was like, I thought it was going to be Ben because you
Mm-hmm.
said something about how Ben knew something that the rest of us didn't know, and I was like, oh, it's fucking Ben. I know it's Ben, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
Sure wasn't.
That
So-
was a big twist for me, honestly.
It
Like
worked a
not
little
having
bit.
Ben be the traitor
Yeah.
was a surprise.
I was also thinking about putting in Hannibal Lecter, Cypher from the Fast and Furious series. I put Biff Tannen, but I ended up going with Griff Tannen.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
I had a whole idea of putting Anton Chagrin from No Country for Old Men in there, and have him be like this boogeyman who kept chasing you around. But I thought it might have been a little too dark.
That would have been really scary.
A little bit. I also thought about Tyler Durden, the Sanderson sisters, Shia LaBeouf.
Wait, Tyler
Joe
Durden?
Buttigieg.
Just Shia LaBeouf.
Not a character.
Just straight up Shia
straight up
LaBeouf.
Just
Shia
actual
Wait,
cannibal
and also
Shia LaBeouf.
Tyler Durden, the guy who's not real.
That's right. Joe Buttigieg from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought really hard about putting Helen Sharp and Madeline Aston from Death Becomes Her in there.
How did you manage to make all of these characters seem cohesive despite there not really being anything in common?
Luck.
Let's call it intuition, Alex.
Maybe intuition.
Intuition.
A lot of this was built around some of your decisions that you've made. I did a lot less preparation for this series than I have in other series, because I didn't know where you were going to go. Adding in time travel and this whole other thing was going to be like, I couldn't predict where you'd go or what you'd do. So I had a loose outline of what would happen, and then I kind of just added things in as y'all went along.
You seemed in control the whole time.
Well, I appreciate that.
Skill.
Another person I was going to add, which ended up being at the end, just as a little Easter egg to myself. I was going to have the Claw from Inspector Gadget be one of the bad guys. I even thought about having him be the main bad guy. And I was going to have him be played by Buster from Arrested Development.
That's great. Now I wish I'd played Buster from
Right?
Arrested Development. These are my awards.
These are my
Mother.
awards from Army.
Army.
Oh, but the Kaiser Soze thing, yeah, I thought I was going to make one of you one, and then I switched it out for the fake with Laura Croft. There was a time when I was going to replace the Laura Croft character with Harry Dresden and just have him join your party after the whole magic spiel. But I thought he might have been too powerful before I added an invincible vampire to the mix.
He was already there.
He was already there, so we didn't need Harry Dresden and all his magics. But
That
those
would
were
have
some
been
of
tough,
the
though.
yeah.
Because, like, his magic interfered with my weird science.
That is another hiccup that would have happened. So we were just like, Harry's going to stay in his little weird basement. It's going to be all right. But those were the biggest botched ideas that I had for the whole campaign.
Stop saying bots. They weren't bots. It just didn't work out.
Okay, these were the biggest ideas I didn't use for the campaign.
The road's not traveled.
The cutting room floor.
Yes. These were the other timelines you didn't visit. All right. Next, what did y'all think of Savage Worlds, the system that we used? We know Ben and Jency's main, thoughts on this, so we'll just throw it to Laurel and Ryan and see what y'all thought of this system.
You're crazy if you think I don't have a page of notes on this.
Oh, well, then we'll get to you after our guests.
I mean,
How
I
about
agree
that?
guests first.
Ryan, would you like to go first?
I guess I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Savage Worlds. This was my first time playing Savage Worlds. I enjoyed the gameplay of Savage Worlds. I do think it may be one of the ugliest character sheets I've seen.
It's not.
And
It's not a pretty character sheet.
one of the least intuitive manuals I've read.
Yeah.
I think we discovered this too, like going along, is that a lot of, what are they called? I barely even used any because mine were like
The edges?
Yeah, like the edges, feats, whatever, what have you. A lot of them, when like combing through them, were either so general that they weren't like particularly useful, or they were so specific that then it would have to just be utilized in one instance that may or may never come up. I mean, I really do like the dice system. I like the exploding
That's the thing
dice.
I like about it the most too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to play it again, I would just take that element and then splice in areas of other systems that I enjoy to round out those parts that weren't as engaging for at least me.
I think I don't have the opposite opinion necessarily, but I like the dice system. I do think it's almost too easy to succeed. I think that at least the way that like I play and I DM, like D&D 5e, for example, I find a lot more nuance in the like pass-fail system. I don't like pass-fail. I like shades of success. So like if you roll a 15 versus a 19, you will get a better result when I DM. That is not true of every DM. Some people have like DC, if you pass it, you get the info, that's the end of it. But I think like, not like I wanted to fail necessarily in this game. It felt very high stakes, which I think is probably part of the reason why it is a little bit harder to fail. Is like if you fail, that's not good for you on so many levels, and you're very easy to like smoosh. So
I did
degree,
also make y'all very high
sense,
level
but
in the overall umbrella of Savage Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting too, the character creation system being so customizable. I have like mixed feelings on that front, because I understand that a lot of people really enjoy having the ability to choose at every single turn, every tiny little detail that goes into your character. I kind of like the flavor of the constriction of a sandbox, like to be given a class or a subclass. I like, because that informs then the decisions that I make about my character, and less like it helps me a little by providing me little props to play with. So, I was kind of like unenthused about my Marty build until I remembered that stupid gag about him being really good at shooting, and then I was like, I'm building a sharpshooter Marty.
I thought that was genius, though. Like that, it like evolved
Thank
from
you.
the like playing Wild Gunman on the arcade machine, and like the scene at the in the third movie where he plays the carnival game. I thought that was genius.
If this had been like a long running thing, I would have named the gun 7-Eleven. Like that was that was my plan. But there was no reason for like teenage Marty McFly to come up with a cool name for his pistol.
And that is like something that I think you did really well, Laurel, is building the character out to something that was very specific that you wanted. I feel like at least my Laszlo was more just, let's just try to get what feels like this character would be, like as a baseline, and then just go into what's like what I would think is most useful for the campaign. Like, I definitely wanted to do like charisma and spirit, like those types of things. But then everything past that was like, well, I guess Laszlo's pretty tough, like being a vampire, and like he kills people willy-nilly, so he's probably good at it.
And he was. He was very good at it.
And unkillable, so...
But yeah, I'll agree. I'm one of those weird perverts that likes the class system from Elder Scrolls Oblivion, as opposed to the loosey-goosey like Skyrim, like no class thing.
I'm sorry, you like the class system? Pervert.
Yeah, that's right. That's me right here.
Classes.
I just realized that we never sewed up the like Marty has a gun in his pocket, like bow. Like, we never, like, explained that.
Yeah. What my thoughts on that was the gun was always there. He just didn't find it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, the problem would have been solved if after episode 1 I had immediately said, let me record an insert where I go back and grab that gun off my family's mantle. Like, because we
did talk about that, and it just...
Yeah, I specifically had it before, like it was on my character sheet. I was like, I wanted the same Colt Peacemaker that
we should ADR a scene
Seamus
right
had.
now where you use like our last plutonium charge to go back in time and put the gun in your own pocket, like your own jacket pocket.
We can.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we just did it. That was it. We did it.
Jency, have you said what you thought about this whole series of Savage Worlds?
I think Savage Worlds has a lot of cool stuff. I think it's got so much cool stuff. When I was making the character, it just took 1.5 million years because there's so much cool stuff, but also like I was having to flip back and forth through the book, and I didn't really understand what I was doing. I even there's a website, it's like Savage Worlds Character Creator. It's like an app, and you can like input your stuff in there, and it calculates it for you. And even with that, it just was difficult. And
I've never messed with like the magic powers and stuff.
They're in different parts of the book even. Like, I had to keep going, like, look at this page, and then look at this page, and then look at this page, and then it just, it was tough. And then even playing the character, I started out doing that, like, going back and forth, like, how does this work? How does that work? And then I just kind of gave up. and there was one part, like, I read it, and I was like, Alex, I don't understand what this means. Like, I'm reading it here in the book. Like, what does it mean? It's just not, there's so much cool stuff, and I love it for that, but I think it's too much. But yeah, I agree. If they had given me like a class or something, that might have been like. And I also liked the rolling system, I'm gonna be honest.
It's the best part of the game, and that's what I like about it.
It really is.
Yeah. All right. The thing I like about Savage Worlds is something I'm going to call the illusion of failure, which is a term I'm trying to coin. Tell your friends. So I guess I'm going to kind of end up disagreeing with Laura a little bit, because Laura was like, it's too easy to do things. And I was like, oh, I actually liked how it was hard to do things. But maybe it's just because I did the hardest thing any character could do.
Ignore the bear.
Ignore the bear.
Ignore the bear. Ignore the bear and illusion of failure are the same thing. Tell your friends. So this is Catch-22 in role-playing games when you're designing them, which is about how they handle failure. Because failure is like important, because that's how you drive a conflict forward, and a story is about how characters overcome obstacles. So failure keeps things interesting and thrilling. But it's not fun in a game if your character is failing all the time and never gets to do anything cool, or they just die, because then you feel like you're not playing a game. So it's really hard to hit that sweet spot. And I feel like Savage Worlds does that by making you feel like things are so close to going bad, but there's a lot of mechanics for making you like pull it off at the last second. There's like feats that turn things around. There's the bennies, there's soaking rolls, all that kind of stuff. And yes, this really became apparent during Ignore the Bear, which is something I have grown increasingly regretful about. But it was a good way to demonstrate this thing I'm talking about. So like, obviously Alex really thought I was going to drive that car the whole time. That car we made. He really thought I was going to stay in there. And he was like, designed this thing for me. But in my mind, I was like, that doesn't sound fun. I don't want to drive defensively the whole time and just make driving checks. I want to do something creative. So I became it's what my character would do player, everyone's favorite player at the table. And like off mic, Alex actually tried to fudge it a couple of times. So I was like, no, just let it ride. Just let the consequences happen. Like the consequences can be bad without being podcast ending. I think we'll be fine. And I think he did eventually like fudge the rules a little bit by like, I think letting us use bennies in a way that isn't explicitly allowed.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think that was still in the spirit of Savage Worlds. But like, as much as I do regret like making things difficult for everyone, I ended up having a lot of fun in that scene. It ended up being exciting for me. And there were so many things that went bad. And we found several ways mechanically to just barely escape disaster. And it ended up being like thrilling in a way that us just crushing four Sacha Baron Cohens or them crushing us would not have been fun. So that's my argument in favor of Savage Worlds.
Yeah, we almost lost the game there. We almost lost the game multiple times. Like, I feel like if the, I almost called it the DeLorean. I feel like if the Rogue One had broken, which it was like so close to doing, I feel like that we would have just been like, what next?
I think that's an interesting point, though, of like bringing up failure, like what you're talking about, Jency. If it had broken, if it had put us in a different predicament, I feel like that's good failure. Mm-hmm. That's interesting failure. To me, bad failure in a game, board game, video game, tabletop game, what have you, is you miss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, condition remains unchanged.
Yeah.
Nothing happens when you fail. That's bad failure. That's not interesting in any way, shape, or form. And especially if, like what Ben was saying, if you keep failing in a game where things are designed that way, then it feels really bad, because then you're just doing nothing. You're not even dying. You're doing nothing. Dying would be more
I
interesting.
agree. I agree. It was good failure, but that's what made it so exciting is that like I kept feeling like, oh my god, we're gonna lose this time. Like Laurel said earlier, like the stakes felt high. They felt high all the time. Like I didn't feel like if I fail this,
there are consequences.
Right. I didn't feel like, oh, if I fail this, then I just don't get to do the thing. I felt like if I fail this, we're all gonna lose.
Yeah. See, I think Savage Worlds is designed to make you feel that way. I actually think we weren't. I don't think we were that close to failure that much, except for one time. I think actually Alex did just like say, "Okay, I'm not going to kill you all here." Like, I think there was only one time where we were truly going to die, and then Alex was
"That's just me, though. I'm a coward GM, and I don't like to kill my players."
Alex is good to us.
Same.
And Alex was like, "We got guests. We got to wrap this up."
We've been going since March. I can't keep them in this holding pattern.
Oh my god.
My baby, he's crying out for me.
You haven't met your child yet.
He doesn't even have a name.
All right. This will bring me to my last question. And this is more of a fun question, a more hypothetical. So Doc Brown made his time machine, the DeLorean. It's a defunct, strange car from a weird time period, even when it was being filmed for Back to the Future. So if you were going to make a time machine from a strange modern vehicle, what would it be, and why is it the Tesla Cybertruck?
Listen.
Do you know that was
Oh my God.
the first thought I had? I was like, that'd be really funny, except that car
Yeah,
is
but
a
that was
piece
the point of the
shit.
original one, was that it was a dumb douchebag
So
car.
is the DeLorean.
That's why Marty McFly is like, why did you use a fucking DeLorean?
All steel body, really shitty design, time machine.
Low poly resolution. Yeah. Gas pedal gets stuck to the ground.
Dude,
It is what it is.
I think a hearse would be such a cool one, though.
Well, yeah, ours was
did it
cool.
right.
Yeah,
Ours
ours
is
was
pretty
good.
Was cool.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah.
as funny as a DeLorean. I do have to admit that. Except we
Maybe
called
not.
ours the Rogue One, which is the funniest thing that's ever been done.
That is a stupid name. Yeah, but I don't want to give it the satisfaction though.
I know, right?
I don't want to showcase it like
It's
that.
like ugh, the dumb dorks won't get it though. They won't get that we're making fun of them.
Yeah. And it'll seem like we're promoting
I think it's
it.
pretty. I think my hatred for the Cybertruck is pretty clear.
Laurel put it
I
pretty.
think of like I'm not like a car person necessarily. The two other things that have come to mind outside of the Cybertruck tragically are like the Wienermobile and then also like a VW bus would be fun.
Yeah, those are great.
Okay, that would
options.
be legitimately fun. The Wienermobile would be so funny.
I think like a refurbished like school bus, like a camping RV, like a really nice like souped up RV would be perfect
That would
because
be
then you
really
wouldn't
funny.
have to find somewhere to stay. Time travel in leisure.
There's a car here that drives around, and it is a Red Bull Mini Cooper. It has a giant Red Bull on the back, and I'm like, why? It's so dumb. I
Advertising.
love Mini Coopers, but it's so dumb.
I actually think it would be good to like. It should be a boat. Like you should get a boat.
It should be a boat.
Because like
How can
I feel like you're less likely to like run into something. You know, like the problem of like going back in time is the stuff was different then. But if you're out in the middle of the ocean's pretty much the same.
That's what caused
Yeah.
the Titanic disaster.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Time travel.
Time travel.
Are you saying that the Titanic was a time traveling ship, or that another time
No,
traveling
I'm saying
ship?
that another time
Yeah.
traveling ship
Yeah,
crashed.
yeah.
Someone rigged the Royal Caribbean
And then-
Allure of the Seas with a flux
Yeah,
capacitor.
hit-
Sort of the Lone Pines Mall of the
The
sea.
allure of the seas was such a specific goal.
What's that large white object? It must be an iceberg.
Do you want to do favorite moments?
Yeah, actually, I had that in my notes and I skipped it. Why don't you start, Ben?
I want to do two, but my absolute favorite moment is when Laurel said, "You want a new car?" When Dom was like jumping into the Perrier race car after, because we just done the shot at me like I'm on The Price is Right, and like I almost passed out laughing.
Thanks, I'm glad.
That was like my favorite joke. But my favorite thing Alex did, my favorite like thing in the adventure, was the Carmen Sandiego game show. I was like completely not expecting that, and you implemented it like in the system pretty well, in a way that was fun.
I had to think. I was like, so I'm a bit of a geography nerd. I'm not like an expert or anything, but I know a lot of these things. Maybe y'all won't. So I have to give you some way to be able to get the answers. And history checks is just the best way to do it.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that too.
What about you, Jency?
Gosh, I had a lot of favorite moments. I really loved the intro, especially for my character. It made me so excited to play the game. And I loved the Sacha Baron Cohen's was so out of pocket, and it was so funny. It was so funny, Alex. But I think my favorite moment was killing Hitler, maybe.
Killing Hitler
Honestly,
at
I was
least
going to
twice.
say the same thing. Maybe killing Hitler.
And I didn't even know, because you said it, and I was like, wait, was that Deadeye? And you were like, I don't know. And then
We
maybe
still
we
don't
killed him
know.
again. I don't know. But it's so funny.
We may have just killed 2 mustachioed German men.
Just 2 mustachioed
Listen,
German guys. You
maybe.
never know.
But maybe.
Better safe
Mario
than sorry.
and-
None of you went.
They were actually Italian.
None of you went back and checked.
Named Mario and
Well,
Luigi.
we
No.
had other stuff to do. They're dead.
You were
We
busy.
had a lot of people trying to kill us, in case you didn't
We'll send
notice,
Bill and Ted
Alex.
to check.
So is that your favorite moment, Laurel? Do you have a different one?
That was definitely one that I thought of. That just was so funny to me because it was like Paris, 1940s. And we were like, can we kill Hitler? Like, just immediately asked to do that was amusing. I really enjoyed getting a hoverboard. That was so exciting to me. And then I made use of it at the end, which is always
You did.
fun.
You used it really well.
I love a hoverboard. I love just like the pink Mattel. Like, it's great. I love a hoverboard. But I also really enjoyed Ryan's like clutch charming of Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, 100%.
Where
Something
it's like
I forgot that he could do.
yeah. I just love when there's like a thing like that it genuinely turns the tides completely. That is like, this is difficult to do, but like it's gonna happen. So I love stuff like that.
I love it when a spur of the moment impulse OP move comes together.
That's right. How about you, Ryan?
All of the intros were really, really fun. Like, just to listen through everyone's little like vignettes that they got to play through. Honestly, like, building the car was a really fun like montage of just character moments. I am big on just like character moments. I like seeing people inhabit the characters and like the characters interacting with each other in like an earnest fashion. And I felt like that was one of the moments where that came across like most strongly. And so that was a lot of fun, really enjoyable for me.
What about you, Alex? What was your favorite moment?
Man, I loved it when it ended. When it was all over. Just kidding. What was my favorite moment? Definitely playing Griff.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
Playing Griff and then the future gang boys. I also love playing Bill and Ted. That was so much fun. I think I loved it when Laszlo just flew in and just straight up killed
Gerard,
the Perrier guy. Just Gerard, just like, hello, just popped up in his lap, cut his throat, into that guy. Just no more guy. That was the moment when I was like, I may have made a mistake letting him play Laszlo. This could be a problem. That brings us to the sad moment where we have to say goodbye to Laurel and Ryan.
Because we're dying.
in Gency.
Because they're dying.
In canon.
They're dying from the Roleplay Retcon universe and going back to their own timeline. And I gotta say, I'm gonna miss y'all a whole lot. It was a lot of fun
thanks.
having y'all here.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
I've been a big fan of Flash Fantasy for a long time with Skeleton Crew and Rift Walkers. It was a dream having you on here.
Well, thank you, Alex, for inviting us in the first place. It was an absolute pleasure.
I'm just gonna say, in that timeline, y'all definitely killed Hitler.
Wow.
Congratulations, audience member that listened to the whole rehash. Now you know, and you've been rewarded.
Now you know.
Achievement unlocked. Killed Hitler.
Yeah, I killed Hitler.
You did it, audience. That was you. You killed Hitler.
That was you. You guys did it.
Could have done it without you.
Only by listening to this audio does it make
Yeah.
it true.
Yeah,
Now
like a
it's
Tinkerbell
canon.
kind of thing.
Until it's heard, does it exist?
If
bear
if
or
a hearse
something.
runs over Hitler twice in 1940s Paris and no one's around to hear
But
it,
no one listens
is
to the
Hitler
podcast.
really
that's
dead?
all. Does it happen?
Oh, excellent.
Also, final thank you to Robert Russell for letting us use his music in this series. You can find his music at on his YouTube channel or at robertrussellmusic.net. And I've got a few announcements. Our next episode will be next week, just a few days from now, and we're doing An American Werewolf in Paris, the cringy 90s sequel to An American Werewolf in London, which isn't bad. We're playing Die Laughing by Craig Campbell, which is for making horror comedy movie-ish stories, so it's perfect for us. And we're playing with a couple of folks from the Game Woven podcast, which, if you haven't listened to, has a really cool premise. They play a lot of different games like we do, but all of their games are set inside the same world, and they play the games to flesh out that fantasy world. It's very cool the way it comes together. After that is another one-shot, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, which killed Superman movies for 20 years. We're doing that with Jeff Stormer from Party of One, and Jeff made a bespoke game for us. We're playing Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, the game, by Jeff Stormer. Very excited about that. And then after that is our first guest GM series. We're doing the Adam Sandler version of The Longest Yard with Play Ball by Rogue Caulfield. It's a game that's meant to emulate like that sports anime vibe. Our guest GM for that is Grant Nordine from Game Master Monday, which we've appeared on a couple of times. And my last announcement is it's kind of sad. This is our final episode with the Nerdsmith Network. We just we got a great opportunity we couldn't pass up, but it meant that we had to leave the network to do it. And I wanted to talk about how much we've enjoyed being part of Nerdsmith before we talk about that opportunity next week. We have made a lot of friends and created some really cool stuff with the people at Nerdsmith. And we would not be where we are if they had not taken a chance on us like 5 years ago. They hooked us up with guests and platform to do some things that we couldn't have done otherwise. Like when Alex and I did Radlands recently on their Twitch channel. They'll always be part of our show. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you, Nerdsmith.
Everybody say bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye kisses.